I'm back. Roads Rants for Black and White Sports. Week 13 power rankings, my top 5 plus a couple in the mix. I do strength of schedule. I look at the coaches and what quarterbacks have you played. Okay. Little bit collegiate in that. I don't care about record as much. Your level of competition. By far, it seems like our most popular video we make every week on this channel. So, but first, and while I'm thinking about it, if you were looking for this video yesterday, some weeks I can put it out earlier than others, but because the Ravens were playing on Monday night, I had to wait, okay, and see how that game turned out. Okay, let's get right to it. My number 7 team on my list, the in the mix for 6 and 7 team, but number 7, the Minnesota Vikings, okay? And what I will tell you is I literally had 6 and 7. Like I had 7. I had the Vikings ahead of the 6th spot up until like 4 minutes before I made this video because I was just like, you know what? I don't feel good about that. Key victories for the Vikings over the Eagles. The win at Dallas was a big one. I guess they did lose at the Packers, and really that was the deciding factor for me because my number 6 team is going to be the Green Bay Packers. Look, last week they were number 4. I hit them in the breadbasket because the Niners beat the living hell out of them. They weren't even involved in that game. Matt LaFleur looked a little over his skis against Kyle Shanahan. Aaron Rodgers, a little that frustration started coming out. But for him, rightfully so, I think, because, I mean, that defensive front of the Niners, Aaron wasn't even getting to think about doing anything. He had no time back there. It was ridiculous. But another poor showing from the Pack, you know, on the road. If things went through Green Bay, the Pack might have a chance, okay, in the playoffs. But I don't know that things are going to go through Green Bay, okay? So I do think the Pack is a good team, but that defense that looked good earlier in the year is looking not so good now. Number 5, Seattle Seahawks. Okay. I thought about moving them even higher than that, but the head-to-head, I could not do it when I got to looking. They've got key victories over the Rams, which I don't know that that's a great thing. Right now, they do have wins in Cleveland. Again, I don't know that that's a great thing. However, the thing that hurts the Seahawks for me right now is they got a loss to the Saints in Seattle and a loss to the Ravens in Seattle. Sort of head scratchers, okay? However, they've got that impressive win against the Niners in overtime. That's why they're in the top 5, essentially, okay? They've got that one really good win. One of the problems in the league right now, in my opinion, is there are a monster load of just terrible teams. So everybody's getting fat and fed right now. Okay. And people will say, well, it's always that way. No, you got a lot of backup quarterbacks playing, and there's been big quarterbacks hurt during the year, so people have gotten wins over teams they might not have beaten otherwise. It is ugly this year. The Falcons, Jets when Darnold was out, it was just automatic victories, right? So I don't know. I do hold that against some teams. I'm not gonna sway you on that. Number 4, the Saints. Vegas's darling. I had a guy on here last week that said, "Oh, cut it off at as soon as you said Saints at 6, I stopped right there." I don't, Colin Cowherd even addressed this last week about the Saints being number 2 in Vegas. He literally said, "Are the Saints are the guys in Vegas watching football this year?" I don't get that. Okay, there's things from the Saints I don't love, but they got some good wins. The weird thing is they got good wins with Teddy Bridgewater. Drew is starting to look old. I know that's the elephant in the room. I think the Saints struggled with the Panthers a little too much this week for my liking, but they got wins over the Seahawks and the Texans on their schedule right now, and they beat the brakes off of Chicago in Chicago. So I have to give them some credit for going someplace like Soldier and beating a Bears team that's got a good defense. They got Trubisky, I get it, but I got to give them some credit there. But I still don't have them as a number 2 team in the league. I don't. So I'm not sure what Vegas thinks they're seeing that I'm not. But they don't. Drew is starting. There's some decline there with Drew, and I'm a little worried about it as the season goes on. Okay. Number 3, New England Patriots. I understand some people may think they got a case to be won. I don't love some of the teams that they've beaten this year. It's that division. That division blows. It's a lot of Finns and a lot of Jets. Okay, and Big Ben getting knocked out at the beginning of the year in that game. Just their victories, beat it. It's looking like beating the Eagles and the Cowboys are okay wins, not good wins. And the Patriots offense is putrid right now. And people say it's Tom Brady's decline. Unlike Drew, I don't think it's Tom's decline. I think it's lack of weapons on offense. Julian Edelman is noticeably slower on the field. He cannot separate. So Tom's lifeline is cut out. No Gronk, another lifeline cut out on offense. And Mohamed Sanu missed the game against the Cowboys. And I picked the Cowboys, by the way, like an idiot going to New England. But I thought, good God, the Cowboys, and let's not get started on the Cowboys. But they got so much more talent than the Patriots do that I was just like, surely to God, they can just outscore the Patriots. I know the Patriots defense looks great, but their level of competition concerns me when it comes to their defense. Okay. See Ravens, right? Number 2, I struggled with this. I almost did a tie for 1 or 1A and 1B. This was the hardest week of doing top 5 power rankings. Number 2, I've got the 49ers. The 49ers are my lifelong team. I love the Niners. I live and breathe and die with the Niners. It was splitting hairs. I don't know. It is that close for me right now. I just think the team ahead of them is this much better. Okay. Great victory against the Packers at home. Beat the brakes off the Packers. That defensive front of the Niners is dangerous. They do have good victories this year that I like a lot. Rams weren't even involved. It was a 20-7 game, but the Rams were dominated in that game. They were beaten by the Seahawks. They would be number one right now if they had not lost that game at home to Seattle. They have struggled a little bit with the Cardinals in both games, but the Cardinals are not an automatic victory. The Packers win is a good win, and beating the hell out of the Panthers was a good win. Back when Kyle Allen was really playing well for the Niners. And my number one team this week is going to be the Ravens. Okay, I get it. They've got 2 losses. I think the loss at KC is not a bad loss. Now, getting beat badly at home to the Browns is a total head scratcher. However, the Ravens have victories in Seattle. They beat the Patriots. They destroyed the Texans, which I think the Texans are probably in that top 10, 12 teamish level. And then last night, going into LA and absolutely crushing a 6-win Rams team. By the way, Jared Goff, Sean McVay, that's starting to look fraudulent at this point, okay? McVay looks like he can't make adjustments. Like maybe he's a one-trick pony. But the Ravens and that offense, and even at times their defense, looks good. We're going to find out about the Niners and the Ravens this coming weekend. They play each other. It's in Baltimore. I can tell you ahead of time, I'm going to take the Ravens, even though I'm a Niners fan. I'm taking the Ravens in that game. I think we will do our picks either Saturday or Sunday live. But it's going to be interesting to see if the league catches up to this offense. Some people will say, well, they caught up to Cap when Roman was the coordinator at San Francisco. I can tell you as a Niners fan, no, they didn't. The Niners or Kaepernick's camp, one of the two that year, made a decision to try to make him into a pocket quarterback. And they told Cap to quit running. So instead of building the offensive scheme and letting Kaepernick still run, there was a conscious decision to try to force him to be a pocket quarterback for one season. And off-field issues aside, it kind of derailed his production on the field and that offense. I believe that was the year that we ended up 8-8 and Harbaugh was gone. Okay, at the end of the year, he sort of checked out, knew he was already going to Michigan. I like this Ravens team. I do. I think the Niners and the Ravens are a clear-cut 1-2, 1A, 1B. John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson looks good. It's hard. Again, one of the problems is everybody's schedule's got a bunch of Dolphins, Jets, Bengals, Steelers before they turned around and got hot. A Mahomeless Chiefs team. So that's where it starts getting harder to judge these teams, especially if you're like me and you look at coach. But let's look at the top 3 teams. Belichick, Brady, Harbaugh, Jackson, Shanahan, Garoppolo. And Garoppolo, the last 3 weeks, has started to play much, much better. This past week, I did not see a lot of those head-scratching Garoppolo throws, the Mark Sanchez throws, as I call them, that make you go, where are you throwing it to, Jimmy? I didn't see any of those in this past week's game for the first time all year. If Garoppolo continues to evolve and get better, the Niners will be the best team in football, okay? I'm not going to give an early Super Bowl prediction at this point. I mean, we gave one before the season. I can't even remember. Oh, I picked up Eagles. Good God. Boy, they've turned into a dumpster fire. You tell us what you think, black and white sports fans. Who's number one, Niners or Ravens? And for any Saints fans, I'm sorry, it's not the Saints.